So I have a master's degree, I'm a giggy musician, I have an album out, I do music things on a daily basis, and I only make money from music related things. What do I practice nowadays? So I've been playing guitar for about 13 years now. I'm 26 years old, so guitar has been a part of me for half my life. And naturally, as things tend to do when you do things for a long period of time, things tend to change. Nothing in life stays the same. This is kind of like a universal law or principle. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that anyway. Practicing is definitely a very important part of music making, and it's hard to get good at an instrument without giving the time that the instrument needs. And all the instruments are different, they all require a different amount of things, and we are all different because we all have different innate abilities, but practicing is something that makes all musicians great. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be sit down in practice room and like focus and study kind of thing, but there's different ways of approaching it. So throughout the years, my practice routine has changed significantly, and I want to talk about what I'm working on these days, and hopefully maybe give you a better idea of how you can schedule your practicing time. So let's jump right into it. So when I was younger, I basically just kind of spent all day playing guitar. Not all day, but I would spend a few hours and I'd go on YouTube and Ultimate Guitar and start learning songs and stuff like that. And I think that was a really good part of my music learning because it gave me some kind of appreciation for music, and it allowed me to get some kind of dexterity early on. And then as I got older, I was like, there's a lot of things to practice. If I want to be more productive while practicing, I need to schedule this somehow. So around when I first started college is when I started regimenting my practice routine. I saw a masterclass from the great Jonathan Kreisberg, and he was saying how he formatted his practice routine, and I kind of copied from that. Basically, he said he would break it down into hour-long chunks and work on different things. So when I was like a freshman in college, I would practice around 6 hours a day, and I would structure it basically like the first thing was warm-up. So usually some kind of scale routine, some kind of like physical thing so I could warm up, but it's also like a technique thing so I can check my technique. And then from there I would move on to something else technical, usually like a skill pattern or a skill technique. If you see my video, Creative Ways to Practice a Major Skill, you'll see kind of how I went down this rabbit hole of like doing skill patterns. And basically, I spent an hour a day trying to think of different patterns. So it's like, oh, let's do thirds. Let's do thirds going up and down. Let's go in thirds doing down. Let's go fourths. Let's increase the interval. Let's make this longer. Let's do it over the whole guitar neck. Stuff like that. And then I would spend an hour learning different songs, which helped me get like a decent repertoire of songs. So now when I play gigs, I never have to like practice or learn new music. I just have this kind of database of a few hours worth of music that I can call from. And then I would also work on things that my teachers would give me, different homework assignments, different things that I was like focusing on at the moment. And then finally I would spend an hour reviewing songs. So essentially I would spend an hour learning a new tune and then an hour refreshing tunes. Somewhere in there, usually I would throw in some kind of transcription thing, learning a different solo, but with transcriptions, it's hard to keep it to just an hour. I would just kind of go until I was tired. One thing that I didn't really do back then was take many breaks, and you kind of need the breaks. You need the breaks to kind of refresh your mind so that way you're fresh and you're like stay focused. I later learned that it was actually a little more effective to take breaks and work on things for like 15 minutes. You all probably know the guitarist Rotem Sivan, who has like an amazing YouTube channel where he talks about a lot of things, but one thing I heard him talk about was how they did a study conducted on athletes in different kind of fields, and essentially what they found is that the first few minutes of your practice is the most effective. So one thing I started doing was juggling a few different things and swapping topics. So basically pick like 3 things to work on the day and just like do them at 5 to 10 minute intervals. I found that effective, but that also didn't really stick with me. Later in life, I took one lesson with the great Chai Maestro, and he basically kind of showed me different ways to practice without the instrument by doing ear training exercises, which I actually found more beneficial. When I was studying in Boston with a great teacher, Eric Hofbauer, one thing he was saying was that sometimes he felt when I was improvising, it was a lot of muscle memory things and not really what I was hearing. So I think it was good to take a step away from the guitar and do things not necessarily guitar related, but just music related. So that can be a few things. It can be like transcribing something by ear. It can be using an ear training app like the app Harmonomics. And one good exercise that Shai gave me was to play a chord and then pick an interval and sing that interval and see if you can get it. For example, play a C minor chord and then sing the 9. Just like that. While that is on the guitar, I would even do it with a piano nearby, or I would get an app on my phone and then play a note and then try to sing that interval. Or you can even kind of quiz yourself and be like, do, da, which is a perfect fourth, so I sang that correctly. And then check yourself on an instrument or an app on your phone, or get a piano app on your phone or whatever. But really doing these kind of seemingly basic things really helped. And then later on, I studied with the great Ari Honig, and basically I couldn't touch a guitar for like 2 months. I was practicing this rhythmic thing that he works on. You can check out his videos on My Music Masterclass, and he basically just goes over all of that. We worked on that for a while, and he just kind of gave me advice on that. But The gist of it is basically tapping certain rhythms on your lap while singing a melody. So an example of that would be, for example, I'm going to take Tenor Madness. I'm going to tap quarter notes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And here I'm going to snap displaced quarter note triplets, which means I'm going to go triplet, triplet, triplet. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba, ba, bo down, ba, ba, bo down, ba, ba, bo do, ba, da, 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 ba, and so on. But anyway, check out that masterclass because it's great, and yeah, it helped me so much. But I would do this on the train, I would do this while walking, and I would do this while doing other things, but I wasn't directly playing the guitar. And finally, we get to nowadays. So since I'm gigging, teaching, recording, mixing, and doing all this kind of stuff, I don't have as much time as I used to compared to like when I wasn't working and doing all this stuff. And I also have like a wife and all this stuff, so I don't have as much time to spend in the shed. So basically what I try to do is make my sheds really effective. So the first thing is that I'll have a different subject for every month. And it could be a month, but it could also be a year. Like for example, this past year has been quintuplets. So just being able to hear that, being able to play it up on the guitar, and just doing different things to become comfortable with that rhythm. One thing recently that I started doing that my friend Tim showed me was triplets grouped in fives, but group them in twos and threes. So basically, if you have 5 notes and you group them into twos and threes, you have 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So if you group triplets in 5, you have this sort of thing: triplet, 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 1. So essentially, you're going to be grouping that in 2 3, and you get this rhythm: triplet, 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 triplet. So I've been working on that lately. But basically, that's my main focus for the month. Other times it's been like, for example, George Van Epps' book, Harmonic Mechanisms. You can find the link in the description if you're interested in that. But that's a really dense book, and for a while I was just doing 1 page a day and just trying to get through all of it. I eventually gave up, but I got through a decent amount of it. But really focusing on the one thing. And then another thing I'm working on these days is taking vocal melodies that are really simple and learning them on the guitar. I'm doing that rather than transcribing complicated solos because I want to get really strong at these fundamental notes and these fundamental melodies. And I want to be able to craft my own compelling melodies. So whenever I hear a song that I like that I'm like, wow, that melody is really compelling, I try to go back and learn it. And usually I'll do this with songs that I've heard before, and I'll try to play along with it as the recording is going and see if I can get it by the end. This is a really useful skill because on the bandstand, it's really helpful to be able to kind of recall any melody that you want, especially as an improviser. And then finally, I'm learning whatever music I need to learn, or I'm writing music. And I feel like writing is a great skill to have as an improviser because when I'm composing, I'm trying to get what's in my head out on the paper, which is basically what you do when you're improvising. Just when you're improvising, it's in real time, but when you're composing, you have a lot of time to edit and all that stuff. So it's kind of like figuring out what you really like in music so that way you can use it more. So then when I'm improvising, I can draw upon, like, I really like major 6 intervals, or I really like minor 6 intervals. I really like this rhythm here. I really like this phrase here. I like landing on the 9th chords, stuff like that. And I'm basically just trying to focus on those things. So it's like really focused practice. And I feel like through that, I develop a lot quicker than if I just kind of scatterbrain and try to get everything. That being said, I have spent the last 13 years practicing other things. And every time you practice something, it's kind of like a Lego and you're like building a house slowly. So now I have a leg up from before because I already have all these skills and they kind of stack up on each other and they help me to my advantage. So if you're just starting off and you're practicing a lot and you're not feeling the progress, like, trust the process, like, just be patient and like focus on these things and just slowly work at things. If you want better ideas on how to practice, I actually made this video a while ago of how to have an effective practice session in an hour. But anyway, that's about all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.